Tessa, are you looking around to see what the ghosts have misplaced while you've been sitting?
I'm looking at my bed, which is, I just did like a ton of laundry, and like all I got like new sheets for fall, and like got all these fall things for my apartment, and I'm just looking at them just slightly out of my eye line, and I'm like, ugh, would it be terrible? Would I be completely terrible if I just didn't fold any of them and put them back into the hamper? They're clean, and then just did that tomorrow. I'm like, is that a good use of time on a very late Wednesday night? It's 8:30.
And like, welcome to Strong Female Lead. Oh my God. That's so funny. It was almost like a political pod, the NPR podcast. They're like, it's 8:44 p.m. on October 7th. The news may have changed by the time this comes out. Welcome to Strong Female Lead. No.
Did I ever tell you that I hated the voices on NPR?
Yeah.
I hate them. They're so condescending.
That's questionable because they're meant to be loved.
I disagree. Disagree.
Well, Tessa, your voice is loved.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Welcome to Strong Female Lead. My name is Trisha, and I am one of your co-hosts.
Yes, and I'm Tessa, another co-host.
Yeah, and what we do here on Strong Female Lead is we take a look at women in media and film and TV and the characters, and we talk about whether or not Hollywood got it right, whether these are strong female leads that we want just out in society, or are they ones that we hate? And today, Tessa chose the movie that we are going to discuss,
no, she didn't.
And it is a folk horror film, and it's called Midsommar. And this is a 2019 film, and it was directed by Ari Aster. Is that how you say it? Written and directed by Ari Aster of Hereditary, which I just learned is the same person. And it is starring a bunch of people, including Florence Pugh and Chidi. Right? Chidi, yeah. And basically it is about a terrible relationship between two people. Florence's character, what's her name? Her name is Danny, and she has a boyfriend, his name is Christian, and they're terrible for each other, and she's traumatized after her sister Terry kills herself and their parents in a horrifying manner, and she decides to go with them to Sweden to celebrate Midsommar, which is a festival that occurs like every 90 years, I think. And
it's every year. Midsummer's
no,
every year.
Midsommar is every year, but I think this.
Oh, they're particular, the town, village.
Yeah. Sorry. This, I mean, could they really do what they did every year? Wouldn't people be reported missing? I don't know.
If they're ever recorded.
For sure. And like, is this a village you want to fuck with? You know, like what sort of laws?
It doesn't seem like they're like super cognizant of rules or norms.
Right.
Urban norms.
But I mean like American authorities, right? Like going over to Sweden, like, yo, like so-and-so's missing, you know, like Natalie in Aruba.
Well,
we don't know.
Yeah.
So they go, and basically just mayhem ensues, and lots of, you know, killings and stuffing with flowers, and there's psychedelic experiences, and it's just like full-on mayhem, and I love it. This is the second time I've seen it. I loved it more the second time, which I told Tessa about just before we started recording, and she was very shocked. And So that's really it. They go to the festival and mayhem ensues, and it's a cannibalistic cult, and basically there's sacrifices, except for the one and only Danny. And go.
Go.
Go. Thoughts?
Well, my feelings towards this movie are not great. I don't have like amorous feelings towards this particular film, and I honestly just think I am not this director's like target demographic, because I felt the same way about Hereditary. While I can see the quality of the filmmaking is outstanding, I just don't care for the story at all. It was a very
political answer. I love how you had to make sure to say, because the quality is outstanding.
You can't argue. It's a stunning movie. The movie is stunning, and you can see his background as a set designer and a what is the word I'm thinking of? Who
what did he do?
What do you call it when you go and you find the sets? That thing. He's great at it.
That person, that's a job. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That guy. Doing that thing that he does, which to me is like cinematography. That's what it is. As a cinematographer, he's visually telling a beautiful story. I just didn't like anything that anyone said.
Right.
Nope. That's where you lost me. I was like, no, we could get another writer in here and just condense, go through some rewrites, just shorten this thing up, especially if you're going to give us the opening imagery, which is the goddamn story. And I think that's why he frustrates me so much, because why do I have to watch 2 hours of a movie that you just told me? And then he keeps telling you over and over. And I'm like, well.
Okay, it's 2.5 hours. Mind your manners.
What did I say?
2 hours. I'm just kidding. It's worse. It's 2.5.
Oh, it's worse. I was like, that is 2 days. And I was like, okay, that was an exaggeration.
I know. I was surprised you understated how long it was, considering just your commitment to the 90-minute like tight script. So
I could have even done this I could have even done 2 hours. Like, there's no way he couldn't have cut a half an hour from this movie. There's just no way.
I do agree. The script isn't really telling the story. They're basically just talking back and forth in the scenes about what's happening. So there's no storytelling with the script, but I think he wants it that long for the buildup, because the suspense.
Is there a buildup? Because it seems like you're simmering the entire time. There is no buildup. Like you're probably simmer. Like, what is it like? You're depressed, and then you're like, you come to like back to level. And I think that's how I felt. Like, oh no, Florence, this is terrible. Your life sucks. And then it just got up to, oh, you're in a cult. Well, I don't even want to call it a cult. It's not a cult. I take it back. Take those words back.
Take that shit back, because they will come for you. It is, you're simmering, and then it boils. I think that's it. And the third act just like tumbles down on you. Like, it's when it's simmering, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, they're fucking.
But what about that was surprising for this cult? What about like what happens at the end with the large fire? It was like, oh God, I never thought these people would do that. Like, or that's surprising that they did that. Oh my God, they did that. That makes sense. The whole time.
You are missing it. The cult is not the surprise. Danny is the turning.
Same. If you're watching Danny the whole time, I mean, I imagine this is how most people get involved in like cult adjacent activities, is that you meet someone at a low point, you offer them empathy, you reinforce the empathy and togetherness. And that was just simmered along. She bottoms out for a minute when every time she has a panic attack, they do the weird breathing. Oh, we're in this together. It's empathy, it's empathy, it's empathy, it's love bomb, boom. It makes perfect sense. There's no surprises. To me.
Okay. So we just did Ready or Not, and that was predictable as fuck.
Yeah.
So why does this predictability bother you more?
Because it was 2.5 hours. You can underwhelm me in 90 minutes, but if you're going to make me sit through 2 hours of building stories, building a world and story and making me almost care about what happens to Florence and the rest of these, like, this bro band, you better pay off in the end. Like, it better be shocking. It should, like, either assault my senses or, like, make me, like, really think about something.
Okay, so for me, it was shocking. It was shocking. I like bro band because that really is what's happening there, and they are terrible.
I understand them, but I hated them.
Her boyfriend was terrible, and obviously we were meant to hate him. And yeah, she was a little bit codependent. Like, we get it. She had a lot of shit going on. For sure, she was very codependent. But fucking A,
crazy
break up
asshole
with her. Like, then
who does that?
But then he can't after the suicide.
Can't you?
I mean, it's questionable. That's
if it's
a terrible
school trip. I would have been like, don't. I would have found a way.
Okay, so in the movie, if you guys haven't seen it, I know it is kind of scary. Danny's sister kills herself and the parents, and it appears that she's trying to, like, protect the parents because she, like, tapes up their room or whatever, because she has a hose that's connected to the car, and so she's getting the carbon monoxide. Except in the message that she messages to Danny, she says, "It's all black. Like, I'm leaving, and our parents are going too." So it was something along those lines where I'm like, ooh, maybe she meant to kill them. So then Danny finds this out and tells her boyfriend, and then he's like, ooh. And then he kind of talks about a trip. Oh, I wasn't really planning on it. And that whole, like, terrible conversation with them was just, like, made me cringe, because, like, everyone's had at least I've had those kinds of, like, round and round conversations where it's just like,
yeah, no
like,
one's pulling the trigger and just saying it plain, making it plain. Absolutely.
Right. Like, and I get it, because it's uncomfortable because you're not really sure exactly, like, what it is that bothers you, or you're afraid to say it because of the results. So she's afraid to say.
And it changes the dynamic of the relationship
Yes. No, absolutely. Because she's pissed off because she feels left out, because he didn't tell her that he was going on a trip for an extended period of time. And then he's lying about it to her. But instead, she's kind of, like, dancing around it. And he's like, well, then he's lying and saying, I didn't know. Well, we just kind of decided. And he just wants to end things. So then they're just, like, having this weird, like, no, stay. Oh, go. Oh, this is terrible. Okay, she's invited. And then you're like, no.
I mean, I suspect that was his plan the whole time, is just to like, lead her or stay in the relationship until it was, like, maybe a week before they're supposed to go on this trip, and then have a perfect out. Like, break up with Florence, get on a plane. I'm in Sweden for, like, a month. She'll be hopefully over it by the time I get back. We don't have to have this awkward, like, the phone calls after the breakup. Like, are we really broken up? Is this what you really want? Tell me what happened. Tell me what I can do. All that kind of shit. Like,
but her sister
ruined her boyfriend's plan to break up with her by murdering her parents and herself.
Horrifying. And then okay, so then this is where it starts to get, like, a little weird, and I guess I didn't pick up on it, and you might have, but it really seemed like the Swedish guy wanted her to come all along, or at least he definitely wanted her to come after the parents died, because he saw May Queen all over this bitch and was like, ooh, she could definitely become one of us. Like, he was grooming her very soon after the death of her family, I think. But I don't know.
I think he was, like, acting kind of, like, in the vein of the empathy. I'm gonna keep saying empathy cult, but meaning cult of emotion. Like, not that this is a cult, but, like, that cult-like behavior surrounding empathy and extending that to her as somebody who could potentially become a part of that community of his
why is this
Swedish
not
community.
A cult? I mean, we were saying,
know.
oh, they're going to come after you, but like I think they are a cannibalistic cult. I think, because I don't think you have to kill.
Really, what's a cult? A religion that didn't make it? Like,
what is
who am I
cult?
to call their ancestral beliefs cult-like?
And you have a cult. You've been trying to get one up off the ground for a while.
Yeah. But we own that. That's part of the trademark name.
Yeah, what was it called?
Oh, no, it's the Church of SFL. You're right.
The Church of SFL.
Yeah, well, that's a personality cult. This is different.
Personality cult versus empathy cult.
Yeah, because I was like, you know, some of their practices are, by a modern standard, outside the bounds of what would be deemed civilized. But
yeah, drinking.
Considering they are, you know, supposed to be this remote community where, I mean, it feels like a combination of like maybe a traditional Swedish belief mixed with like Christianity and Mormonism. Like that was my biggest, like, I don't know. I feel like I've been like religiously sensitive lately, and I'm like, this whole movie just has like such strong overtones of being a critique of both secular life and Christianity specifically, and I'm like, I sit through 2.5 hours of this.
Wait,
come on.
So what are they doing that's any different than the cult of wealth?
They're not, but I wouldn't call it. No, I just wouldn't call like any other, like I wouldn't call Mormons a cult because they do
right
stuff, or the Church of Latter Day Saints, still considered a church and a religion and not a cult.
Yeah,
it feels like a mean title to put on it. It does. And it'd be different. I'm like, I wish they would have said what it was called. Like,
I think it was just a commune, just a village. Yeah, I think it was just a village. But they go and it's crazy. But the whole thing is so beautifully shot. It is so light the whole time, which is an interesting contrast because it's like the midnight sun. And that shit is weird when it is light at a time it's not supposed to be light. I experienced that in Iceland, and you're kind of like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this is, and it wasn't even slightly dusky. Like, it was just light. It was light. And everything, so they get there, and for all the codependency issues that Danny has, which it's clear there's just issues. She's been taking care of her sister, trying to make sure her sister's okay. Like, it all kind of makes sense. And I feel for her. I'm like annoyed by her and also totally feel for her. But she has her finger on the pulse of like what's going on there. She's not really like open to it, meaning like I don't think she knows how far it'll go, but she knows before any of them that something's going on. So she has that sort of like intuition, probably because she's always been like hyper vigilant with her sister, I think, and then look what happened. So it's obviously not going to stop that characteristic of hers. And so I think she just kind of knows, like, it's weird that this couple left. It's weird that the British guy left without his girlfriend. Are we all kind of curious about where they are? And she just sort of seems to know, but then slowly, she's okay with it and she's staying. And then in the very end, she fully embraces it. And that is the part that did shock me. I didn't see it coming. I mean, the first time I saw this, I cried because I was so scared at the very end. I know that is so weird to you, but him in a bear, he's sitting in a bear. He is unable to speak or to move. And she
also probably can't feel it. So that's good.
And she makes the decision to have him be one of the sacrifices. And that was so fascinating to me and then she has her family. But then I sort of wonder, like, well, they might not have it for another 90 years. I was going to say, so she'll be safe. Like, will she be sacrificed? But it seems like, no, she'll just be with the family then. but they're all the women. They're not saying a lot. They're smiling. They're giving you period blood to drink, all the pictures and all the stuff. You're right. They tell us the story from the very beginning. If you pay attention to that, with the picture of the bear and the little girl kissing the bear, and then even the boyfriend before he has this like fuck fest, which is terrifying, with a bunch of women around him groaning, he's looking at a drawing of a bear in flames. And it's like, oh, and I was wondering what that bear was doing there. When they were there, I was kind of like, is anyone going to question this bear in a cage? What are we doing with the bear?
Yeah, you just catch a bear and keep it. That's just a thing. You never heard that? You just catch a bear.
So you didn't feel like, I don't know, I thought, the dialogue, it really didn't matter. Like the whole back and forth with them about their thesis or whatever they wanted to call it. And I don't know.
I think it's an interesting commentary. The themes that I saw very strongly was the dark and the light. In the beginning of the movie, she's almost completely engulfed by the darkness of her life wherever she lives. It's winter, it's cold, she's disconnected, she's trying to find people to talk to and express herself to. The sister is like enraptured by darkness too. I think her message says something about like, something about the darkness.
It's all black.
Yeah, it's all black. And I was like, I understood the theme of being in an urban environment. Though we are together, we are so separate. And nuclear family is bae. Like it's everything, and we're part of an outside community, but we're really not. And even in the insular community of our nuclear homes and families, are we being heard and seen and felt emotionally? No. The answer to all those questions are no. And then she's hit with tragedy and like her worst fears, seemingly, of being disconnected, because she's like, oh, am I being too clingy? So to me, it would be like maybe she's obviously having trouble connecting with her boyfriend, and then also feeling like my need and desire to be heard, seen, and wanted is a burden to Christian. And I was like, interesting choice in a name. Flags. Like for me, I was like, oh, flags. We're talking.
I don't even think I knew his name.
I think they only say their names like 3 times. I think only they're introduced to people like 3 times, so very easy to miss. The other thing is about like, heard, seen, and emotionally felt. Like heard would be all that weird breathing. Like in the beginning when she's in the darkness, she is just wailing, and there's nothing Christian is like verbally doing to console her. Not that there really is anything that can be done,
but he's not feeling it with her, and I think that's it.
Right. But then even it transitions to like every time she has a mental breakdown, we hear her like welling up inside. Like we hear that like as she like starts to break down and starts to cry, and that theme of like her like sucking in air, and the people of the village sucking in air and like letting it out, like, but theirs is more deliberate, like theirs is pointed. And then like the way that they sway, like there's a scene where Christian gives Danny her piece of cake, like a birthday cake. And in the background, there's just like women, I think they're holding a baby or they're holding something, but they're all just like swaying together. They're feeling everything together. And I was like, again, this is like a cult of empathy, a cult of emotion. Like it makes sense to see that. Like even if I just did that and didn't say anything, you would probably start doing it because you want to be subconsciously so connected.
I want to do it. Yeah.
I'm just swaying back and forth, guys. I'm like,
I'm doing it. I'm doing a shoulder thing.
Yeah. When Christian's having sex with those strange ladies in that your house, they're moaning as if they're being pleasured also, and I was like, that part was creepy. But then when Florence sees that and runs away and all the ladies like gather around her, I was like, that to me is like when they got her. I was like, I was like, there's no going back now. You're one of them. That was the scene, in my opinion, that's like,
for sure.
Well, she's crossed the threshold into being like, I'm on the I'm questioning this. I don't trust this. Maybe they just do things differently than I do it. Maybe their way is okay. I'm totally on board with their way.
Yeah.
So that's why the ending wasn't a surprise, because she already bought in. Like,
she did go from, she didn't trust it, but then the pain was so great of the betrayal, even though he was, giving her little betrayals along the way, just by not being there and not being present and not seeing her, hearing her, feeling with her, something about sex. And that is kind of interesting because I think I read a study at one point, like the biggest betrayal for women is a sexual affair, but for men, it's an emotional affair. Like there's a higher percentage, and the association with sex. And that was the final nail in the coffin, even though he was already basically not in a relationship with her. That showed her physically or visibly that he wasn't. And the thing about it is, though, I mean, he was also drugged and allegedly had a spell put on him before doing that, which not to say he wouldn't have, but it's not entirely clear how consensual it was for him, because I know there is weird shit like that. And when they blew it in his face, I know that there is a drug called Devil's Breath. And I think
you've talked about this before, I think.
Oh my
Devil's
God.
Breath. Yeah, about I
think it's in Colombia.
Crimes.
Yes. Yeah. And they just kind of, you lose your defenses. And that's what they said about it, the drug, to him before they gave it to him. Well, they blew something in his face at one point, which I was like, that might be Devil's Breath. But they also gave him something to drink. And she explained it brings down all your defenses and allows you to be open to the influence. And I was like, like, listen, I'm an experimental chick, and I would be lying if I would say that it wouldn't be fascinating to go hang out at a commune and, do some psychedelics and see grass grow out of my hands. But if someone is handing me something after a lot of weird shit has happened, and they're saying that I'm basically going to succumb to the influence. Yeah. I would have an issue taking it. But at that point, like, their level of what's normal is just
there's like nothing else to do. So
there's nothing else to do.
There's not like an internet anywhere. So I guess I'm here. Would have been, I guess.
He can fight with his friend, he can fight with his girlfriend, or he can take this drug, and then he takes it, and then you can tell he's not feeling great. And then even at that point where they're sitting at that really long table, and he turns to the guy and he's like, excuse me, like, what's going on? Because he was able to tell that he no longer had control. And then the guy clapped at him. Oh, so mean. That is the equivalent of, like, well, way worse, but like if someone's super stoned and you tell him the cops are coming for him, like, he is feeding whatever that like experience he's having, and you can see it all get kind of wavy. And I was just like, oh my God, they will be fucking with him. They're going to do something crazy. So I'm not sure how consensual it was. That's the long way of saying it, which is interesting because that's the final betrayal. That basically is the kiss of death for him.
Yeah. And I don't think it matters in my view, because for me, it was just symbolic of her last tie to her former life fucking her over, like everything else had. In the literally fucking her over.
A bed of flowers.
And I think that's like, again, that the way she's crying, I was like, she should have gotten awards for just the crying she does in this movie.
Oh my God.
It is like a devastating sound.
She's so good. Guttural.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God. Again, why would you want to watch this more than once?
And why would you like it more at the second time? But you know what? The crying, though, like, it wasn't just him. It was everything. Like that, I feel like that cry and that wailing. And then I was watching it with a friend of mine, and she was like, well, it's the same thought when everyone breathes in like a room when someone's giving birth. It's that same sort of like community, like the nurse doctor. I mean, it's nothing wild, but like it's the same sort of like they're getting you to do it, but you're in an altered state. You're in probably unbearable pain. I don't know. Haven't experienced it. Sounds terrifying. And they're doing that breath with you. It's the same sort of thing. And they just get down on their knees. And man, those extras, those background artists were putting their time in. That is the background artist role of a lifetime. Just the wailing. Oh my God. Everyone's dead basically except them at that point. And does anyone care about the one friend?
Feeling things with someone, I was like, that is like just too much. I'm like, it's too much. Well, but like, maybe I only think that because I'm from a quote unquote civilized society where it's less common to grieve something with someone in that way. And so another reason I didn't like this. No question my reality ever.
I didn't. Yeah, Ari is gaslighting. He's like, I'm sorry, did you know that this is how we want to live? I mean, truly, I thought it was kind of beautiful.
Can you imagine leaving this society? Like really leaving? It's probably why nobody leaves.
Why?
I think you have to like be born with a little bit of coldness in you to survive this world, and those people don't have it. And the opposite. They couldn't live in our world because the lack of empathy. I was like, that's a sad commentary. Again, sad theme.
Right. I thought it was
Can
beautiful.
You imagine living in that society and then coming to like live in Chicago?
No, I would walk down the street and I would cry out a loud wail and I would wait for anyone to wail back, but instead I'd probably have angry horns honking at me.
Yeah, the match with the siren. I can just imagine you doing that and a siren going by, so it's completely eclipsed.
I know, like, my own existential pain. And then I get it. I think some of that is kind of beautiful, and I do think that there are other areas of the world that believe in that communal type of feeling and empathy, but they take it a bit far. And the crying, they do the same thing with when everyone's burning, and I'm just like, and some of them are laughing, clearly. Like some of them, it was like laugh, cry, just hysteria, and I was just like, ooh, that part I was like, not beautiful. Nope, this took like the wailing with her. I was like, okay, it's kind. Mm-hmm. And then the other kind, I was like, oh my God, when everyone was burning. Mm-hmm. And they told them they wouldn't feel it. And then the one guy's screaming, fuck you. God damn.
This is, medieval seeming magic. I wouldn't have trusted anything they said. It's like, what scientists, when peer reviewed, what? How do we know that?
Was born there, right? Like that was part of the. So he's not going to question anything. He's like, sure. He's like, this is great. I'm not going to feel it. I'm thrilled. I honestly though, when she was in that like flower capsule, mm-hmm. that was truly eerie. When she was walking and she looked so beautiful, by the way. Like she's a beautiful woman, but they kind of downplayed her beauty throughout. And then when she put on the white dress and the flower crown, it just sort of like brought out her beauty even more. And then they put her in that flower capsule and I'm like, her pretty little head is just stuck.
She's
trying to walk.
That was my favorite part of the whole movie, is her walking in that flower cave. I was like, this is Met Ball all over it. I was like, thank God. I was like,
why hasn't anyone done it? Why hasn't anyone done that in Met Ball?
I feel like I saw Ariana Grande wanted to buy that dress to wear to something. And I was like, just do it. Just buy that dress. That dress needs to exist in the real world. It was amazing.
And I mean, yeah, the walking, you can't really walk with purpose. You're just sort of just making it, just little steps.
It does look very heavy.
And like her arms, I mean, could we even see her arms? I think so. They were there like I don't know, but it was.
Yeah, kind of like a little Little T-Rex situation happening. Yeah. So cute.
Full on like flower capsule, and then her boyfriend's in a wheelchair, and then he's in a bear costume, and I was like, that's when I lost it. Truly, I was just disturbed. I was disturbed, not by the story. I mean, by the story, but like just like thinking of how he might feel, asshole or not, the fear of not being able to move or say anything, and then also knowing that you're in an animal, and then being able to make eye contact with someone that maybe you once had feelings for, and then them deciding that you die. And then I was like, how could she? But like, I understand why her character did it. She had no other choice if she wanted to be happy. And at that point, like that was when she truly took ownership of her own power. I mean, yes, it's a terrible thing to do, but that was when she grew as like truly became an SFL in this movie, is when she just changed the course of things. Or I kind of thought maybe they planned it out from the beginning, because I kind of thought she was groomed, and I kind of thought they were sort of faking when they fell, when they were all like dizzy. So I don't know.
I think this has been a scam. I think it was a scam for the moment that Swedish guy invite is like, I'm very excited for you to come. I was like, I wonder like if those ancient scrolls were just playbooks about how to get like foreign people into like the neighborhood, like just to get them on site. That's what I think. I was like, there's not a lot of people here. So, I mean, every 90 years you have to do this little leap of faith. And then what are you guys doing the rest of the time? Like, where are the children? Like, why aren't there more kids around? Why isn't this society like thriving? So they must be bringing outside people in to sacrifice and do all this shit.
The children.
I don't know. I mean, apparently baby's blood is like super good for your skin. So there's that.
Okay, so then that makes me think, are they sending out these college-aged guys, and he has to go and find a group because they need to sacrifice a certain amount of people? So you think he enrolls in this program with like anthropologists or whoever, whatever they're studying, that would make them interested in learning about this group of people. So how long do you think he was at college there? How long has this been going on? What's the recruitment? What is the pyramid scheme?
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if more like, you know, more of these women weren't born in the village, but were brought to the village. And then like, we love it here, blah, blah, blah. And just stayed. And that's how like new women are. Cause like, wouldn't we all just be an incestuous little weird cult? Yeah,
they said they
happening. But I'm like, how else would you? This seems like it was all the plan, is to get her to make this choice, is again part of the scheme. But because they didn't, it's not like they didn't know that she was going to know that this was happening.
Right. No, I agree with that. But those May Queens, all the flower, like the pictures of them, he's like, those were all the May Queens, but there was no indication that any of those women were there.
Oh, like still alive and still there?
Yeah, and I'm like, I think they do that every year, or maybe that's an every 90-year thing too. Like, so then that would make sense why they're not there. That's the only explanation.
Yeah, I guess the 90 years is what's throwing me, because that's the part that seems inaccurate. Like, it just seems like in a society like this where you have old people just like sucking up resources and not contributing, that it'd be at more than every 90 years that this is happening.
So that's Wikipedia. All right. So I'm not,
I'm questioning Ari Aster. I'm asking Ari.
Oh, Ari.
Did he get his math right? Are you sure it's not like every 50 years? Every 25 years and a full moon? Like, what? How did we come to that number?
Now, well, they do get rid of older people once they're 75. And that was interesting too. And to be quite honest, I think that is real.
It's 100% real.
a testupa.
That's another reason I wasn't surprised, because I knew that that was real, and I figured out what was happening again. I was like, come on, Ari, let me have something.
Okay, well,
like,
it was during...
I didn't...
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. No, I just didn't know about the second jumper. I was like, well, that was good. Thank you for the body horror.
Yeah, it was... Okay, so it ritual suicide that took place during prehistoric times, Nordic prehistoric times. I would doubt
funny.
that.
Prehistoric.
I would,
that's like, incorrect.
Like,
that's
what the fuck?
That's very nice of them to say prehistoric. Okay.
What does that mean?
I've seen Vikings, and that's not prehistoric.
I feel like I could see that. Age 72. I could see that happening still. I could see that as something that people do.
I feel like even outside of... Yeah. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't know. I just said to maintain, I guess, population control. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like that is a practice that exists outside of Nordic culture as well, that other cultures do a similar thing. Or you kind of have to walk out like into the desert. Either way, you're an elder person taking what is essentially your own life. For the good of the community.
Okay, so the drawings that I sort of had issue with was before the redheaded girl put the spell on Christian. It was... Oh my God. If you guys have seen it, like, I forget the first couple, there's a baby or someone's kind of happy, and then there's someone... Oh no, the baby's at the end. There's a girl, and it looks like she's cutting off a piece of her pubic hair.
Oh yeah.
But then she's sitting somewhere bleeding. So I was thinking like she cut herself.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
I thought this was like I was like, what kind of shading
is that? I was like, because or did she just get her menstrual cycle? But like she wouldn't have like a full bush like at the time I don't know the sequence of this, but there's a woman, there's cutting, and then there's squatting, and then there's blood, and then there's drinking, and then Christian, the goblet is bestowed upon him, and it's clear that his drink is a different color, but no one notices, but that's fine. And it truly does look bloody to me, but maybe that's because the picture. But you're right, he does. So tell me, I am interested. Tell me the other ways that he tells us the story before it happens.
I mean, the opening like triptych, it like tells you kind of the overview, the beats. We're starting at night, and then it immediately goes to like the first scene is night, and then if you just pause the first screen, like right when it opens, that image is the whole movie. Then there's the artwork.
What do you mean the image is the whole movie? What image?
It's like a piece of art, like a painting that comes up like right when the movie starts.
Oh, and it's just the whole thing?
Well, it essentially gives you like the overview of the movie. Like it's like a moon picture at night, and there's like a sad girl, and then it becomes light, like a sunrise, and then like the bright light, like almost like a white light at the other end, which to me is like, why would you show me this? Because I'd already seen Hereditary, and he like, for me, beats it over your head what is about to happen. And then if you look at the art in, I believe it's Florence's house. I keep calling her Florence. I don't even know her name.
With the bear.
Yeah, Danny. The bear. Where else? I mean, I knew about the elders. I didn't really understand the psychedelics and how that tied into the imagery. And maybe we're just not up on.
Nah, maybe they just wanted it to be cool. Because it did look cool. Like I was like, ooh, you're one with the earth. Like, because that's very much their belief. Oh, okay, so now it's coming to me, because we don't know what everyone else was seeing. We just know what Danny was seeing with the psychedelics. And she was seeing a version of what happened to the other people. right? Because they'd put flowers in their eyes and they would stuff them kind of like scarecrows almost. So she was seeing that almost like a premonition of like the grass growing out of her hand and that kind of thing. So maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And then like nothing happened for about an hour for me.
There's a lot of back and forth. There's like, we're uncomfortable, we're going to sleep.
Yeah, someone breaks the rules or offends them and then they gotta die, which makes sense. Don't be offending people, guys. Mind your manners. Don't be peeing on people's trees. Like,
do not piss on the trees of their elders.
No. Someone says that's my secret book, maybe don't read it.
By the way, no one really cared that much about the one guy, the guy who's in the Black Mirror movie.
I was like, why did they make him such an asshole?
They cared very little about his disappearance. Like, to the extent, okay, so he was going to get laid. Well, clearly that doesn't happen that often because of how excited he was about the prospect. And then when he's just gone. And like, I mean, at least the couple had like a semi-logical
why they left
and they could make up, but like him, he went to bed with this girl who probably came back out at some point, I'm sure, in the 24 hours he was gone with no one giving a shit. I'm like, this is a small remote area, no one cares. And he was a total prick, and I hate when people who are that annoying are assholes too. It's
Are they annoying because they're assholes though?
No, his face annoys me, and his way and his mannerisms. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I'm sorry.
That's so specific.
Yeah.
Just literally everything about your being, the way you breathe, your nail beds. The way your eyes are following me.
I don't like him. And like in the Black Mirror, I didn't like him, but like his character was much more palatable. But like, just, I'm sorry, I don't even know this person's name, but I don't like him. And then his comments, and then being mean when I'm like, you are so annoying. I want you to be gone. Like I can't, when someone, I really hated him. I hated him.
I mean, I hated him only because I didn't understand why he was there at all. Like he wasn't an anthropology student, which the two of them annoyed me, but at least they had a purpose for like wanting to go on the trip. This guy's just like in their friend group and wanted to go to Sweden, which was weird. I mean, not that weird. I mean, Sweden seems fun, but also, why are you here?
Yeah, but you're not just going to Sweden. You're going
yeah, you're not going to Stockholm. You're going to Breezy Town.
I mean, I get it because like I'm into the strange, and so like I am thankful that I was never presented with a weird opportunity like this as a young 20-something, because I can't say I wouldn't have done it. The remote aspect is what bothers me. The group of people, like, just kind of, you know, I'm just interested in people and the dynamics. It would be fascinating. That whole ritual suicide would have been absolutely terrifying and traumatizing, but fascinating, like, to see how a community lives and breathes. Like, so I
warn people, especially those, you know, people whose parents just were grisly murdered. That to me was mean. That was like just mean for that for Chidi of all people to not to do that to her.
Oh,
it's not like they didn't know her parents and family were just murdered.
Totally, but he was one of those like academic asshole guys. Mm-hmm. Like it was just all about the books and like it didn't matter, and he didn't like her because he didn't like his friend with her, and they projected all this weird anger onto her. Well, yeah, she could be annoying to them, I'm sure, because like they have to be on the other end of like a relationship like that, and that is kind of hard as a friend, where you're like, oh my god, guys. Yeah. But Christian was useless as a human. He added nothing to the conversations with them. He was not funny. He looked like a guy that I would have hooked up with in college and then regretted it the next day. And I did not understand the I'm like, oh, and you're an academic? Like, I didn't buy it.
That was the twist of the whole movie. I was like, wait, you're in the department too?
Like, that...
I'm sorry.
That did
You look like
not...
a phys ed major at best. Like,
he was a gym teacher. That's fine. And there's nothing against that. That's fine.
No. So my best friends are gym teachers.
But like, it's a different... Well, then I don't want to say gym teacher because I just said I hated about him. I just said I hated like everything.
I just said it. There's multiple gym teachers. What do you think my life is?
Yeah, friends who are teachers. There could possibly be a gym teacher in there. Oh God.
I just want to think of this gym teacher clubhouse or whatever they do. Oh, this meetup of gym teachers. Sounds amazing.
Oh yeah, like the TikTok, like crash pad in LA.
Yeah, or a dating app full of gym teachers.
But no, he was useless. And really, that was one of the big plot twists, is when he decided
that was like a jump scare. I was like, shut up. They had said what everyone else had done. Everyone else. Even Flores. We know that she's a psychology major. Anthro.
What was the annoying guy? Anthro?
He didn't have one. Okay, so there's two people we didn't know. I'm convinced he didn't even go to that school. He just knew Christian.
Yeah. He was a hanger-on. He was terrible. It's fucking face. So that was all uncomfortable. And I think it was also very, very mean of the Swedish guy, who he knew. My friend brought this up and I didn't even catch it, but like when he first spoke to her about coming and saying like, oh, I'm so glad you're coming, after he like was drawing a table that now we know had like lots of weird прowers and stuff on it and looked like one of their like operation tables. Mm-hmm. He said something to her to evoke pain, and my friend, it was coming across as empathy. Like, oh, I know what it's like. I'm an orphan. My parents died in a fire, which was probably one of their funhouse fires that they had at the end. But she's like, oh, he likes to hurt people. And I was like, bitch, what? And this is the first time she saw it. This is my second time. And I didn't even catch that. And then it came up again when they brought up, they're like, oh, there's a ceremony tomorrow. And what happens? You know, Danny's like, what actually goes on? Oh, wait, no. My apologies. They said something like, he was talking about the seasons of one's life, and they're of working age when they're like whatever age to 72. And then she's like, well, what happens after you're 72? And he goes like across his neck like that. And he smiles. And then the next day, just as I sit there watching, and it was like, oh, this boy, who then was also like the prophet. So was he a product of incest? Because they kept showing that poor child who was supposed to be the oracle. But then at the very end, they were like, thank you for your unclouded vision to the Swedish student. And I was like,
see, this was a setup from the goddamn beginning. Like
I was like, what? That bait and switch. So you're right. It was. Yep. 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 Okay. So wait, does that take away her agency? Okay. Let's
That's
get
a great question. Yeah.
What does this do for our SFL? Because like, I thought she was a bit of an unsung SFL, like very, kind of being pulled along by everything happening to her. And at the end, in the most disastrous way, she became an SFL in the final moments in her terrible decision, but also her decision to let Christian die a bear. So, but was she an SFL? Because now, I don't know. Did she have a decision?
Yeah.
What do you think?
For me, I'm a little on the fence. Ooh. I'm like...
I'm getting really riled up.
Only because I think that she fell into for me, she's like wrapped up in the wave that is the plot. But I don't know if she removed herself, would all of these things still happen? Yes.
That's the question you always ask yourself.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad question, because at the end it does seem like maybe I'm just judging too hard because I like didn't enjoy this movie, and like usually I go to bat for movies that I do that I'm like on board for, but I'm like I don't want it to be too skewed because I'm like.
But here's the thing:
maybe just not like Danny as a character, and then that's why I'm.
Well, it's the same thing. I don't like that one guy's face, so like nothing can make me like him. But here's the thing, though: they talked about the guy's unclouded vision, but that was before she made her decision. So the unclouded decision about who was going to die. So at the very end, for those of you who haven't seen this, we haven't really described the plot so much. We have, but like it might be confusing. I mean, if I hadn't seen this and I was listening, but so they're at the very end, and it's at the end of the movie, and Danny is in her flower capsule, and she is the May Queen, and she has the decision to decide between two people that are going to die because they need to make 8 sacrifices, and they already have the other ones selected, or they've already killed them, and those are her quote unquote friends. And so she makes a decision between Christian, her boyfriend, in a bear, or one of the villagers. And the elder statesman or whoever it is who's talking about this, who's either 71 or younger, he says, thank you for your unclouded vision to the Swedish student who brought them all there. So he says it before she makes her decision, which makes me think that his vision was to bring them. I think his quest was finished, was gathering the sacrifices. That's why I think she may still have that final decision, because really he would have done his part had she chosen the other person. Then Christian just would have, I don't know, what were they going to do with him? He's in a bear. He's gonna come to, and then like
see, to me that undoes part of her agency, because he's been playing her the whole time to make this decision and to choose someone who's not part of the community. Because where does his loyalty lie? Like, he would want her to choose him and not one of like his family. So again, and especially because now I'm thinking, because you pointed out in the beginning, he just does things to kind of get a rise out of her.
Comes across
wants
very
to
nice,
hurt her. Yeah, and I'm like, see, now I'm on the fence.
Like the birthday thing, because he knows that the boyfriend will forget. And then he tells the boyfriend, and it's so manipulative, because it's way worse when he comes to her with some dumbass piece of cake rather than, and then lies and says, oh, I remembered. No, I forgot. Like, if he would have just been like, I am so fucking sorry.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, I don't know what day it is. It's
especially, yeah, you're really all the light. Is it a new day? Is it the same day? Is it yesterday? Who knows?
Like when she says, is it tomorrow? And they were like, depends on like the way you look at it. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. Oh man. Oh my God. Okay.
Right. So the criteria for the SFL is the character top billed, which she is, Florence Pugh. And does the character impact the plot and or move the story forward? For me, she's just, kind of caught up in the wave of the plot, not clearly not clearly making, using agency to make a decision and deal with a consequence. Like, this is all just, for me, things happening to her.
I mean, does she have agency? She has agency. Like, she makes the decision.
She chooses to go to Sweden. Yeah.
Does she impact the plot? I mean, her existence impacts the plot. Like the type of person she is impacts the plot. The trauma she's experienced because in a way she was chosen. But yeah, what would he have done if her parents wouldn't have died right before? What would the Swede have done?
Yeah.
What would the Swedish
what is the story of this movie? It seems to actually be like foreign exchange student from Sweden lands in Michigan at a college town, makes a few good friends in the anthropology department. One guy invites his girlfriend. They all go back to Sweden. Like, what? And then his culture happens to them. And the girlfriend's the only one who survives.
And is it really bad? Is it terrible to say? Even if all of this happened to her, even if she was fully manipulated and groomed and culted in every way imaginable.
Like culted.
I'm still happy for her in the sense that she has a safe zone now. I don't know what that says about me. I had an affinity towards her during the movie. I was just like, oh, everyone's being so, like, you just need someone to just kind of let you spiral for a bit and just like let you go through it. And you're not hanging around people that are doing that. And you're choosing those people. And I don't know why, but that's happening. And I just felt sad for her. And then at the end, I was like, oh, that's really bad how everyone died. And it was very terrible and gross.
Yeah.
But I think her life is better now. I think the things she needed, not better by my standards or what I would want, but she needed, and she doesn't have anyone back home. I was kind of like, all right, go kick it.
Yeah.
So bad. I don't know. I did.
I mean,
her boyfriend had to die, or maybe he didn't have to die.
I can't say that she's better off, because I want to give her a little bit of her agency back, because I want to say that she was aware of the manipulation, even if she was being manipulated, because she is a psych student, and I'm assuming that she met Christian at the beginning of their college experience.
Yeah.
And they've been together for 4 years, so she's at least gotten an undergraduate degree level of psych training to at least, or hopefully be able to recognize the signs of manipulation. And she has a therapist, and she's on medication. So something's telling me she's just off her meds, and hopefully maybe somehow she will level out. But then that to me is where the horror movie starts, is like you level out in a place like that when you've committed atrocious crimes, murdering your ex-boyfriend, and then what? How do you bury that? How do you bury your childhood? You grew up outside of this idyllic community where doubt is everywhere and like questioning. How do you turn that stuff off? To me is puzzling. Maybe it's because I'm just still full of doubt. I'm a doubting.
I think it would be tough, Thomas. Doubting Timothy.
Yeah.
I think you make the decision. And I think
isn't that the true definition in my mind of insanity? Or I guess it's the regular definition of insanity.
Yeah, I think she made a decision to live another way. And I think that she'll do it. And I think she'll probably thrive. I mean, it's crazy. And it's not for everyone. But I think that Danny ended up where Danny belonged. With this group of people who are going to wail with her. And yeah, she had to kill her boyfriend. I mean, Tessa, the judgment, she just had to do it. And she was free. And that was the interesting part, is like, after all of them were gone, you see her smile, and that's really haunting, as she goes from like crying to like, we only see her smile once, and it's after everyone burns. And it's like, it's almost like a rebirth for her. And I mean, yeah, it's fucked up, but it's, it's Danny's life. Danny's gonna live it. So I would give her, with the SFL criteria, yeah, there's some manipulation. There's definitely some grooming. Light, little tiny SFL hat. I do think that she impacted it, even if by impacting it we mean deciding to go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, ugh. Okay, so what would you
it's
rate?
So rare that some of the plot, I feel like it's usually the agency piece that a character is missing. Like they're not making choices, or it's,
I know.
I think she chooses this, I think she's choosing when she goes to Sweden. I think she's choosing at the end when she's choosing Christian, and she's choosing to stay after the, I feel like there's a brief moment of realization of like, there is no going back. Like the life that I had is now burning in these fires and stuff.
Because once you do that,
the agency is so strong. Like I want to give her like maybe like a bonus.
I get it, because she does. She says goodbye. She can't go back to that other life. She cannot unsee.
Yeah.
Or undo any of the things that
you can't come back to the US without 3 other people.
And you, oh yeah, well, and then there's also like the logistical nightmare, and the crimes. Yeah, you can't just come back and be like,
people will have questions. Like, where's my son?
Right. And that's where the decision, when she makes the decision to allow Christian to be killed, she makes the decision to never go back. She makes the decision to start a new life in the flower. She will reside in that flower. And
I would happily reside in that flower. It was so awesome. I'd like one for every season. I want a winter floral. I want a traditional spring floral. I want a very haunted, spooky fall floral.
And you know what? Why isn't Gaga wearing the flower capsule? She could totally pull it off.
Bring back the flower capsule.
Gaga, if you're listening. You're right, though. She doesn't, I'm sure she is too. I'm not sure how much she personally impacts the plot. I think she does. That's why it's a tiny hat.
Mm-hmm.
But that's interesting. It usually is you don't usually not impact the plot and also have agency.
Yeah.
But that's where a cult comes in.
Yeah. So, isn't that the crazy thing? That's how they get you to fall deeper and deeper. They get your hooks in you. But I agree with the tiny hat SFL for Danny.
Or a flower crown SFL. If you guys Google this movie and you're into watching a movie with a girl crying with a flower crown on, this is the movie for you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a great Halloween costume. If you
girl?
can get in the flower capsule. If you could ever get that, wouldn't that be fucking awesome? Oh my God.
That would be good. You just scream up and down the streets.
Yeah, just constant wailing. And then you just point at people. Him. Okay, so what do you think this movie is saying about femininity, masculinity, all the things?
About femininity. It has its utility. I
don't think it was really making a strong message.
No, I 100% agree that it's not a strong message. Which is actually like kind of nice, is that it seems as though Ari writes people as just people.
It's Danny focused.
Yeah. Instead of, I mean, obviously at the convent or whatever they live in, place that seemed as though traditional gender roles are being honored, but like other than that, it is, and it just seems that they're traditional roles that aren't, like if you like it, I love it. Whatever. As long as the women here are like happy in their responsibilities, and then great, do that. Sounds lovely. Do you? But yeah, I think it says in saying nothing, and this is a good thing to me. In saying nothing, it's saying everything, and that people are just people, to work, to live, to eat, to die, and then to jump off a cliff.
Yeah, I think that the traditional gender roles were being upheld, but there wasn't anything being said that one was better than the other,
mm-hmm.
and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, so what would you rate it?
I'm gonna give this 2.5 bear suits.
Up.
What? Rating.
Okay,
literally only the length. I think if you have seen Hereditary and liked it, you would like this. I saw Hereditary and didn't like it, and so I really just think that it's definitely all just about like personality and viewing, nothing to do with the quality of the film that has been made. It is an objectively beautiful movie. That if you, never mind, because why would you just sit there and like, it's not like those fireplace scenes where you could just like turn the dialogue off and just watch, and then why would you? Honestly,
you can't do that. You can't do that.
That would be weird.
You need some of the dialogue, even if it's like bare bones.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought, for the most part, the acting, I thought Florence did a great job.
She did great.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to watch, if it was a choice between Hereditary and this one, I would choose Hereditary.
Midsommar.
Hereditary. It's just a little more traditionally scary. This one, it's the cognitive dissonance that's also like fucking with you, because it's, usually horror movies are dark and creepy and scary in that way. And this one is just like watching horrific things happen in the bright light of day,
with
which you just expect less.
And calm voices and happy people dancing. It's very like, what?
Yeah, that's very hard to watch. And I feel like, it's weird. But I do think that was like an experience, that Ari was giving us as viewers. But yeah, it's just plainly, I just didn't love it. If it was a solidly 30 minutes shorter, I think I could bump it up to a solid 3.
Cool. So I would give this a 4. I really, maybe even a 4.25. I really, really like it. Like somewhere between a 4 and a 4.5. Probably 4.25-ish. Yeah. And I would give it 4.25-ish oracles.
Those will come in handy.
They will, especially that specific amount, because you need that many to be able to tell.
You got to average their readings or whatever.
Absolutely. I love it, but it's just like my type of movie. I mean, I usually really like dialogue heavy movies, so it is a departure from that, but it's because it evokes a certain unease and emotion, and I find that kind of fascinating. And that it can be done with limited dialogue. I'm also like, ooh, that's interesting. But no, I just love it. But I can't watch it a third time. I can't. The 2 times, 2 times was
Did
great.
You have the same reactions the second time as the first time?
Similar. I wasn't as horrified because I knew what was coming. But I was able to like piece it together a little bit more as the story went on. Like I didn't notice any of the pictures or anything like that. And they only show the drawings for like a second. And I can't take in that kind of information in a drawing in just a second. So when they're doing those like spanning shots, I'm like, what is that? And so I was able to kind of focus this time knowing that they were premonitions from thy oracle. Yes. Thy culting oracle. Guys, thank you. Thanks. Tell us what you think. And you can find us on Instagram at Strong Female Pod.
And we are on Twitter at SFL_Chicago. Tweet at us. Tell us what you think about Midsommar. Do you say Midsommar, or are you lazy and just say Midsommar, or do you like fancy and say Midsommar?
I have to say Midsommar. It's just so fancy. Say it. I think that's how they say it. If they don't say it that way and I'm just saying it that way, then that's an issue all around. Let me know. Let me know, and please call me out on it, because if I am fancifying a word that is not like that, then I'm the asshole. Yeah. I need to look in the mirror. All right, guys. Well, until next time. Bye.